Alright, so you got your new Centri Evader 3 Titan. It's the packaging it comes in. Made in the USA. Magnetic drive. Cool hologram sticker. You'll notice on the inside we have some information for you. You guys can read that, I don't know. I don't want to read it all to you, but once you get it, you can check it all out. I'm going to go over it all with you anyways here in a minute. Alrighty, as you know, it's a magnetic drive, meaning when you look down there, there's nothing touching the slider. You'll notice that this wobbles around your plunger. It's meant to, don't freak out. It's basically so that there's no tension. If this was stiff, stuck to the slider, if there was tension on this end, it could cause drag here on the slider bars. So this is very loose. I'm going to get into more details about that in a second. But as you can see a gap between the cam and the slider, and then these are two suppression magnets here. And what this does is it gives you 100% give, meaning, whoop, almost dropped it. Meaning if I was to hold the slider here, the motor would still spin. You can't stop the motor by holding the needle or the slider or anything. And when you let go, it goes right back into play. Quick note, RCAs, never turn them to the left. If you turn it to the left to pull your cord off, you're thinking you're unscrewing your cord or whatever. It's a habit. People have a habit of turning it to the left. You can eventually unscrew the RCA from the machine, twisting the wires to the motor, breaking them off, and then you got a problem. So never turn your RCA to the left. You can always turn it to the right, right tight, lefty loosey. So whenever you take your cord off, always to the right. And same with putting it on. If you have to feel the need to twist, always twist to the right. And that's for any RCA on any machine that you ever buy from any manufacturer or whatever. Just a good piece of knowledge to have. So the plunger, you notice, wiggles around. It's held in by the magnet that's in the slider. There's two magnets on top, one magnet in the slider, one magnet in the cam. There's a hole in the slider that this can go right into and touch the magnet in there, meaning basically you can take this out, you can clean it, do what you want. I only send you one, so don't try to lose it. When you go to put it back in, what you want to do is push your slider forward until it stops, and then basically find the hole, stick it in there, and it's good. It will run with, without it falling out, but it can come out if there's a tube on here, because the friction up here could actually grab it and pull it out. So as a safety precaution for you and the machine, it's always required that you turn it off when you go to change your cart. You want to do that anyway so you're not stabbing yourself, because I'm seeing a lot of shops, people have bad habits swapping carts out with the machine still running and plugging a new cartridge in while it's still running, meaning that needle can easily come out and jam you. So this is kind of going to break you that habit of, swapping carts out with the machine running, because if this was to come out while the machine's running and this is in the tube now you're going to have to pull your tube out, reinsert this, put your tube back in. You don't want to have to play around with all that while you're tattooing. Also, for grips, you can use disposable click grips. This is a Bishop Arma. You want to take note that the shaft on the grip is short. They have some out there, and when you look at it, they're long. Got these long ass shafts on them. Probably won't work because when you shove this in the machine, it's gonna hit your slider and you won't be doing anything. And also, grips that have these huge, basically holes that pass all the way through it, your plunger is not gonna ride that. Your plunger is gonna basically wobble around in there and not do anything. So you want to make sure that the grip has a nice small hole and a short shaft. Much quieter when it's actually running with a needle and everything in there. The fluorescent lighting in here, you should be able to see the can moving. Like I said, it's full give. I can sit here and hold this. The motor's still spinning. When I let go, it goes right back into play. Higher voltage gives you a larger stroke. Lower voltage gives you a shorter stroke. And of course, when you're messing with the voltage for stroke wise, you're probably going to want to adjust your tube, because you'll see that the stroke changes at the tip of the needle. Either twist your grip or loosen this and slide it in or out, whichever you got to do. You can always test it on the cap that I send you. Jamming it all the way down. The cam isn't moving, or the slider isn't moving, but the cam still is. 100% give. Just like a coil. Basically, don't take anything apart. You'll avoid your warranty. You notice you got the cool Titan shield right here. Just aesthetics. Doesn't affect the performance of the machine at all. Just something I wanted to put there. We have Centri engraved in the top. It's all 1061 aluminum, or 6061 aluminum, sorry. Only thing that's 3D printed is your motor cover. This little bronze copper piece right here. When you go to add oil to your slider, if you notice your machine is running kind of sluggish, the silver bar right here, the rail that it rides on, you basically just add a drop right to the bar next to the slider itself, and you'll see the little bit of drop of oil go right in there, and it will basically suck it into its little bearings that we have in there. And I mean like a tiny amount, a half a drop if that. You don't need a whole lot. You don't want to cake this thing full of oil. And then maybe, depending on how much or often you tattoo, maybe once a month, twice a month, depending if it's a full-time go-to machine. Pretty basic though. More of a plug and play. Get the reflection right, you can see the stroke it's getting, tip to tip. Has a very nice whip feel, just like a coil. Obviously, the harder you push in the skin, the softer the hit is. The more light you touch the skin. If you're just barely grazing the skin, the more of a punch it has because it's getting the full stroke. Same, basically the same mechanics as a coil when you're tattooing with it. Let's see what happens if I pull this out while I turn it. It doesn't pop out, but it can. So I always suggest shutting off the machine when you go to change your cart. It's a, wise thing to do anyways. We all take our bloodborne pathogen glasses, and we all know about getting cross-contamination and poking yourself with a needle. Something you just don't want to do. So I always recommend turn off the machine, swap out your cart, turn it back on. Just because of that magnetic bar in there. The machine itself weighs about 3.5 ounces. Very light, very well balanced. Profile wise, I mean, it's almost like, once you have a grip on there, it's basically almost like a pen. Doesn't extrude out too much. You can use battery packs with it. If you notice, the motor is a 6-volt motor, meaning the batteries that you plug on here will have a much longer life because it's only sucking a little bit of juice. We used to have 12-volt motors, but since battery packs have been coming out, we decided to go to 6-volt just to let your batteries last a little bit longer. Performance of the motor is no different though. Although I do ask, since we do have a 6-volt motor in here, if you're using other machines in your lineup during a tattoo that do require higher voltage, like 9, 10, 12 volt, always adjust your power supply before you power this one up. It is a 6-volt motor. You can take it up to 8 volts, but anything past that, you're gonna really start burning up the brushes inside the motor, and it probably won't. You'll take half of its life away real quick. Every time you go to swap a machine and you power this thing up at a higher voltage, you're taking basically years off its life. I should say hours, I should say. Or eventually just burn it out altogether. And if that's the case, we'll be able to see that happened, and it won't be covered under your warranty. User error is not covered under warranty. These motors are about $48 to $52 a piece, depending on the time of year you buy them. You won't have to keep doing that and shipping back and forth between the customers. It can get tiresome. As long as you take care of this machine, it will take care of you. And that's pretty much it for the Evader 3 Titan.